All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I am Saira Mujtaba and with me is Tanvi Khurana. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertakes comprehensive review of COVID-19 situation, including roadmap for scaling up vaccine production in the country. Railways delivers over 2,500 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen to various states across the country. More than 16.48 crore vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Indian Army mobilizes 2 field hospitals from northeast to Patna to assist Bihar government. Haryana government launches Ayurvedic telemedicine facility for COVID patients. Chhattisgarh government suspends third phase of COVID vaccination after High Court order to modify plan for weaker sections of society. India welcomes US for relaxing norms of TRIPS agreement to ensure quick and affordable access to COVID vaccines and medicines. DMK leader M.K. Stalin to be sworn in as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu this morning. NR Congress Chief N. Rangasamy also to be sworn in as Chief Minister of Puducherry. Centre releases second monthly installment of post-devolution revenue deficit grant of 9,871 crore rupees to 17 states. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says Prime Minister Modi-Johnson summit redefined contours of India-UK relationship. As the number of COVID cases is on the rise, we appeal to our listeners to take all precautions and all those above 18 years of age to get vaccinated without any hesitation. Vaccinations for persons between 18 and 44 years of age has begun at designated facilities. Stay safe and protected by following these 3 simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertook a comprehensive review of the COVID-19 related situation in the country. He was given a detailed picture on the COVID outbreak in various states and districts. He was informed about the 12 states which have more than 1 lakh active cases. The Prime Minister was also apprised about the districts with high disease burden. Here are the details.
Prime Minister was briefed about the ramping up of healthcare infrastructure by the states. He directed that states should be given help and guidance about the leading indicators to ramp up healthcare infrastructure. The need to ensure quick and holistic containment measures were also discussed. The Prime Minister noted that an advisory was sent to the states to identify districts of concern where case positivity rate is 10% or more and bed occupancy is more than 60% on either oxygen supported or ICU beds. Prime Minister Modi also reviewed the availability of medicines. He was briefed about the rapid augmenting of production of medicines, including remdesivir. Prime Minister also reviewed the progress on vaccination and the roadmap for scaling up production on vaccines in the next few months. He was informed that around 17.7 crore vaccines have been supplied to the states. The Prime Minister reviewed the state-wise trends on vaccine wastage. He was briefed that around 31% of eligible population over the age of 45 has been given at least 1 dose. Prime Minister spoke about the need to sensitize states that the speed of vaccination does not come down. With Suparna Saikia's report, this is Diksha Saxena for AIR News.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to Chief Ministers of Telangana, Andhra Pradesh, Odisha and Jharkhand about the COVID-19 related situation in their states. Sources said he also spoke to LGs of Puducherry and Jammu and Kashmir about the COVID situation in the UTs.
The Indian Army has established a COVID management cell to coordinate assistance to civil authority. The cell is under a Director General rank officer which reports directly to the Vice Chief of Army Staff. This will bring in greater efficiency in coordinating real-time responses to address exponential rise in COVID cases across the country, including Delhi. Assistance to civil administration in Delhi is already being provided in the form of testing, admissions in military hospitals and transportation of critical medical equipment. The Indian Army has been at the forefront of COVID response at the national level. It has deployed considerable medical resources to assist civil authorities, especially at the 5 COVID hospitals already functional or in the process of being established at Delhi, Ahmedabad, Lucknow, Varanasi and Patna. The Indian Railways has delivered 2,511 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen in 161 tankers to various states across the country so far. 40 oxygen expresses have already completed their journey. It is the Indian Railways' endeavour to deliver as much liquid medical oxygen as possible in the shortest time to the states who have requested it. Till date, 174 metric tons have been offloaded in Maharashtra, 689 metric tons in UP, 190 metric tons in Madhya Pradesh, 259 metric tons in Haryana, 123 metric tons in Telangana and 1,053 metric tons in Delhi. Presently, 22 tankers are running with more than 400 tons of liquid medical oxygen, which are expected to arrive in MP, Haryana, Rajasthan and Delhi.
India's cumulative vaccination coverage exceeded 16.48 crore doses so far. This includes over 95 lakh healthcare workers who have taken the first dose and nearly 64 lakh healthcare workers who have taken the second dose. A total of 2,62,932 beneficiaries in the age group of 18 to 44 years received their first dose of COVID vaccine yesterday. This has taken the cumulative total to over 11,64,000 across 12 states and UTs. Nearly 23 lakh vaccine doses were administered yesterday on 111th day of the vaccination drive. The Indian Army has mobilized 2 field hospitals from the northeast to Patna to assist the Bihar government in fighting escalating cases of COVID-19 in the state. Medical officers and other support staff of the 2 hospitals will be utilized to set up a 500-bed facility at Patna. The hospital will have 100 ICU beds. As per the officials, in order to strengthen medical staff at the hospital, additional specialists, medical officers, nursing staff as well as trained infantry battlefield nursing assistants are to be moved in the next 2 days. The Army has also set up an exclusive COVID management cell under a Director General rank officer, and it reports directly to the Vice Chief of the Army Staff.
In the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir, the COVID-19 cases shows a rising trend. This has necessitated the people to adopt some physical exercises like yoga and pranayam. However, listening to music also go a long way in heaving a sigh of relief from the mental stress. More from our Srinagar correspondent.
In view of the unabated mental stress arising out of the prevailing upsurge in the positive cases of COVID-19 in Jammu and Kashmir, there is a need to address the growing mental stress and fatigue among the people at large. Accordingly, a song with a fervent prayer to Almighty God, sung by a famous playback singer of Kashmir, Raja Bilal, about eradication of the pandemic, relieves us from the mental stress and mesmerizes everyone. Let us listen to Raja Bilal. This is Sunil Kohl for AR News from Srinagar.
Haryana government has launched Ayurvedic telemedicine facility for COVID patients. Health Minister Anil Vij said that any patient can consult the Ayurvedic doctors on phone by dialing 1075. Mr. Vij said the facility has been launched after verifying the response of Ayurvedic medicines used on COVID patients. He said a call center has been set up to run it and teams of senior Ayurvedic doctors have been appointed for consultation who will provide service from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. The minister said the teleconsultation would be helpful for patients in isolation. Gujarat unit of Ayurved Vyas Peeth has launched an Ayurvedic doctors on-call service to serve the COVID patients in the state. Under this service, 170 Ayurvedic doctors will give free Ayurvedic consultations to the COVID patients on phone calls. More from our Ahmedabad correspondent.
The president of Ayurveda Vyaspeeth, Vaidya Dr. Hitesh Jani, said that 170 Ayurvedic doctors of Gujarat will provide free consultations on phone calls to the COVID patients. This will help to recover the COVID patients from their home.
हमारे जो मेंबर्स है 170 ऐसे वैद्यों ने तय किया कि हम जोन वाइज सब अपना एक टीम बनाएंगे जिसमें हम टेलीफोनिक कंसल्टेशन करेंगे। घर से ही वो अपनी ट्रीटमेंट ले सकता है, घर के खान-पान से, अपनी दिनचर्या से वो कैसे ठीक रह सकता है, कैसे अपना ऑक्सीजन का लेवल ठीक रख सकता है, कैसे ऐसे सर्दी जैसे फ्लू जैसे रोग में छोटी छोटी दवाई जो घर में पड़ी है उससे वो कैसे ठीक हो सकता है और बाहर भागे नहीं, यही हमारा मेन मकसद है।
Dr. Jani said that expert advice is very much necessary in Ayurvedic medicines so that patients get good result.
हमारे सब ये क्वालिफाइड वैद्य है, दोज हु आर MD, PhD, और वो ऐसे यंग वैद्य उनके साथ बात करके उनको सही में जो व्यक्ति फोन कर रहा है या जो मरीज है उसको क्या उपयोगी है वो सही में मार्गदर्शन देने से कोई साइड इफेक्ट भी नहीं होगी।
The president of Ayurveda Vyaspeeth, Dr. Jani said that Ayurvedic doctors of Gujarat are available for entire country over the phone calls. However, the similar services will be launched in Mumbai, Pune, Bengaluru and Hyderabad also. Yogesh Pandya, AIR News, Ahmedabad.
In Madhya Pradesh, Janta curfew has been extended till 15th of May. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan, while addressing people of the state virtually yesterday, requested to halt all activities, defer weddings till 15th of May. He stressed upon the need for strict adherence to Janta curfew. More details from our Bhopal correspondent.
Chief Minister urged to stop the work of Manrega in the villages where there is a single corona patient. Chief Minister said that the government will provide free treatment to the poor. The package is being announced under the Ayushman Bharat Yojana. He said that the government is providing free ration to every poor. Every poor is being given 10 kg of free ration. There is no need to give eligibility slip, thumb impression, Aadhaar number, etc. for this. An amount of 1,000 rupees is also being given to rural and urban street vendors. Chief Minister Mr. Chauhan said that the Madhya Pradesh was 7th in the country in the corona infection. Now it has come down to the 14th position. The state's weekly positivity rate is 19.8%, while the recovery rate has improved to 85.13%. Pooja Pivardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
The Chhattisgarh government has suspended the third phase of COVID vaccination drive for people aged 18 to 44 after the High Court's order to modify the plan that prioritized inoculation of the economically weaker sections of society. The state government has constituted a committee headed by the state's chief secretary to finalize a fresh plan to distribute vaccines in the third phase in an equitable manner. Earlier, on 5th of May, Chhattisgarh High Court had asked the state government to fix a reasonable ratio of allotment of vaccines to the Antyodaya group, the economically weaker sections, persons belonging to the below poverty line and persons above poverty line for vaccination against COVID for people of 18 to 44 age group. The High Court directed the state government to come up with an alternative COVID-19 vaccination plan.
Due to the reduction in passenger demand in view of COVID situation, railways have decided to restrict movements of train on low response routes. On the other hand, additional trains are also introduced on high demand routes. A report.
Yesterday, Western Railway announced to cancel 14 trains till further notice due to low response from the passengers. Most of these trains were running from Mumbai to Gujarat, Delhi, Rajasthan, etc. Mumbai Hazrat Nizamuddin August Kanti Rajdhani train is also cancelled. In the last 10 days, it has cancelled 78 special trains running on various routes. As per the statement released by Western Railways, frequency of well trains is also reduced. These trains were running on Mumbai Gujarat, Mumbai Jaipur, Ahmedabad New Delhi routes. In last few days, the frequency of 18 trains has been reduced. On the other hand, trains moving to West Bengal, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand are receiving huge demand, due to which various special and additional trains are introduced on these routes to cater demands of passengers. Jeevan Bhavsar, AIR News, Mumbai.
In Assam, vaccination drive for 18 to 44 years will start today formally in the state. However, few doses have already been administered on 5th of this month in Guwahati symbolically. The Assam government announced to provide the vaccines free of cost to all the eligible persons in this category. Meanwhile, Chief Minister Sarbananda Sonowal has instructed all the deputy commissioners to regularly visit hospitals for better COVID management. The Chief Minister held a video conference with all the deputy chief commissioners and senior officers on COVID management in Guwahati yesterday. Mr. Sonowal also told them to ensure that the prices of essential medicines should not rise.
Odisha Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik has requested the centre to exempt vaccines from GST. In a letter to the Union Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman yesterday, Mr. Patnaik said that this will reduce the cost of vaccines in the states thereby facilitating universal vaccination against COVID-19. A report.
Mr. Patnaik has also urged the centre to share with the states the additional resources exclusively available to the centre through various cess and surcharges on petrol, diesel and liquor. The financial push thus generated will enable the states to ensure that the entire nation fights as one against the pandemic. Meanwhile, Union Minister Dharmendra Pradhan today will virtually inaugurate 100 ICU beds with ventilators in a private hospital in Bargarh in Western Odisha with financial support from Indian Oil to the tune of 11 crore 50 lakh rupees. On the other hand, following direction from the Union Petroleum and Natural Gas and Steel Minister Dharmendra Pradhan, the Rourkela Steel Plant in Odisha has so far dispatched more than 1,500 tons of liquid medical oxygen. Even as the statewide lockdown enters the third day today, the total COVID-19 active case load of the state has further shot up beyond 80,000, with a detection of about 10,500 new cases yesterday. Here is Chandra Das, AIR News, Bhubaneswar.
Director of AIIMS, Dr. Randeep Guleria, has said that CT scans and biomarkers are being misused and they can be harmful as well. Briefing the media in New Delhi, Dr. Guleria said there is no use of a CT scan if a person has mild COVID. The AIIMS director said clinical management guidelines are clear that people with mild illness need no medicine. He advised that based on limited data, one can take ivermectin or hydroxychloroquine, but there is no need to take too many medicines.
सीटी कराने का कोई फायदा नहीं है, स्पेशली अगर आपको माइल्ड इलनेस है, आप होम आइसोलेशन पे हो और आपकी सैचुरेशन ठीक है और कोई ऐसे कोई लक्षण नहीं है. अगर हम एक सीटी कराते हैं, इट इज इक्विवेलेंट टू ऑलमोस्ट 300 to 400 चेस्ट एक्सरेज. और ये भी डेटा है, IAEA का भी, इंटरनेशनल एटॉमिक एनर्जी कमीशन का भी डेटा है कि बार बार स्पेशली यंगर एज ग्रुप में सीटी कराने से रिस्क ऑफ कैंसर इन लेटर लाइफ इंक्रीजेस. तो आप अपने आप को नुकसान ही ज्यादा करा रहे हैं जब उसकी जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि आप अपने आप को रेडिएशन एक्सपोजर कर रहे हैं और उससे बाद में कैंसर होने का चांस बढ़ सकता है.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi undertakes comprehensive review of COVID-19 situation, including roadmap for scaling up vaccine production in the country. Railways deliver over 2,500 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen to various states across the country. More than 16.48 crore vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Indian Army mobilizes 2 field hospitals from northeast to Patna to assist Bihar government. Haryana government launches Ayurvedic telemedicine facility for COVID patients. Chhattisgarh government suspends third phase of COVID vaccination after High Court order to modify plan for weaker sections of the society. India welcomes US for relaxing norms of TRIPS agreement to ensure quick and affordable access to COVID vaccines and medicines. DMK leader M.K. Stalin to be sworn in as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu this morning, and NR Congress Chief N. Rangasamy also to be sworn in as the Chief Minister of Puducherry. Centre releases second monthly installment of post-devolution revenue deficit grant of 9,871 crore rupees to 17 states. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says Prime Minister Modi-Johnson summit redefined contours of India-UK relationship. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो खुद से वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back. You're listening to the morning news. India has welcomed US support for relaxation in the norms of the Agreement on Trade-Related Aspects of Intellectual Property Rights, or TRIPS, to ensure quick and affordable access to COVID vaccines and medicines for developing countries. In a statement, the External Affairs Ministry said, India is hopeful that with a consensus-based approach, the waiver can be approved quickly at the WTO. It added that the waiver is an important step for enabling rapid scaling up of manufacture and timely availability of affordable COVID-19 vaccines and essential medical products. In October last year, in view of COVID-19 pandemic, India and South Africa had proposed in WTO for temporary waiver from certain provisions of the TRIPS agreement. The Government of India continues to effectively allocate COVID-19 supplies received from the global community to states and union territories. The Union Health Ministry in a statement said that Government of India has been receiving international donations and aid of COVID-19 relief medical supplies and equipment since the 27th of April from different countries and organizations. It said 1,841 oxygen concentrators, 1,814 oxygen cylinders, 9 oxygen generation plants, over 2,400 ventilators, and more than 2.8 lakh remdesivir vials have been delivered so far. The ministry said all items received up to the 5th of May have been effectively allocated and promptly dispatched to the states and institutions, and it is an ongoing exercise.
A consignment of 600 oxygen concentrators, 50 ventilators and other medical supplies sent by Switzerland reached India today. MEA spokesperson thanked Switzerland for it. The first shipment of 449 ventilators, 100 oxygen concentrators and other medical supplies from the Netherlands arrived in India this morning. MEA spokesperson Arindam Bagchi said over the coming days remaining medical equipment would be shipped. He said India values this friendly support from Netherlands. DMK leader M.K. Stalin will be sworn in as the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu at a simple ceremony at Raj Bhavan at 9 a.m. today. State Governor Banwarilal Purohit will administer the oath to the Chief Minister and also to the 33 cabinet ministers at Raj Bhavan. After a massive win at the 16th Assembly election, DMK forms the new government for the 6th time in the state. A report.
The 68-year-old leader Stalin becomes the chief minister after he took over the reins of the party on August 28, 2018 after his father's demise. He has been able to lead the party to a success both in the general elections in 2019 and also in the 16th Assembly elections. He became the leader of the DMK party after 50 years of presidency by his father and DMK patriarch M. Karunanidhi. Born as the third son of the late leader M. Karunanidhi and Dayalu Ammal on March 1, 1953, Stalin was named after Russian leader Joseph Stalin as he had passed away just 4 days after his birth. He joined the party as a 14-year-old. He was arrested during the Maintenance of Internal Security Act during emergency. Stalin also served as the first deputy chief minister of the state in 2009. This is the 7th time that M.K. Stalin had been elected from the assembly from the Kolattur constituency. Joy, AIR News, Chennai.
The NR Congress chief N. Rangasamy will be sworn in as the Chief Minister of the Union Territory of Puducherry in a simple function arranged at Raj Niwas today. Lieutenant Governor Dr. Tamilisai Soundararajan will administer the oath of office and secrecy to Mr. Rangasamy. The three-time Chief Minister, Rangasamy returns to power for the 4th time to lead the NDA government. The BJP will be a part of the coalition government, and this is the first time that the BJP will take part in the government.
Supreme Court has termed Madras High Court's observations against the Election Commission as harsh and inappropriate. The court said there is need for judges of superior courts to exercise restraint and not make off-the-cuff remarks in court proceedings. However, the Apex Court said the High Court did not attribute culpability to the Commission for the spread of COVID-19. A bench headed by Justice D.Y. Chandrachud said they find that the High Court was faced with a situation of rising cases of COVID and was duty-bound to protect its citizens. The Supreme Court said a degree of caution and restraint on part of the High Court would have allayed these proceedings. It added that oral remarks are not part of the order and hence there is no question of expungement. The Apex Court declined a plea made by the Election Commission to restrain their media from reporting oral remarks made by a division bench of the Madras High Court. Finance Ministry has released the second monthly installment of post-devolution revenue deficit grant of 9,871 crore rupees for 2021-22 to 17 states. With this, a total amount of 19,742 crore rupees has been released in the first 2 months of the current financial year as post-devolution revenue deficit grant to the states. The grants are released as per the recommendations of the Finance Commission in monthly installments to meet the gap in revenue accounts of the states post-devolution. The 15th Finance Commission has recommended post-devolution relief deficit grants to 17 states.
External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has said Modi-Johnson summit has redefined the contours of the India-UK relationship. In his keynote address at Policy Exchange, London, on the topic India and UK in the post-COVID world, yesterday, Dr. Jaishankar said the roadmap agreed during the meeting will guide policymakers in an expansion of ties between the two nations. He said the meeting also saw the launch of enhanced trade partnership committed to negotiating a comprehensive free trade agreement while improving market access. The External Affairs Minister said India-UK cooperation derives from values, practices and history. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will participate in the meeting of the European Council tomorrow as a special invitee. The India-EU leaders meeting is being hosted by Prime Minister of Portugal, Antonio Costa. Portugal currently holds the presidency of the Council of the European Union. Mr. Modi will participate in the meeting along with the heads of state or government of all the 27 EU member states. The leaders will exchange views on the COVID-19 pandemic and healthcare cooperation, fostering sustainable and inclusive growth, strengthening the India-EU economic partnership, as well as regional and global issues of mutual interest. The India-EU leaders meeting is an unprecedented opportunity for discussion with all the leaders of the EU member states. And now let's take a look at the weather forecast for today. In Jammu, minimum temperature was 21 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 34 with partly cloudy sky. Srinagar had a minimum of 11 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 23 degrees. City will have thunderstorm with rain. In Leh, temperature will hover between 3 to 20 degrees Celsius with partly cloudy sky. In Gilgit, the sky will be generally cloudy with possibility of rain. Minimum temperature was 11 degrees and maximum will be around 30. In Muzaffarabad, temperature will shift from 11 degrees in the morning to around 28 degrees Celsius in the afternoon. Chandigarh will have a partly cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain. National capital Delhi is expected to have a partly cloudy sky. Minimum temperature was recorded at 23 degrees Celsius, while maximum will be around 38 degrees.
And now, an overview of today's newspapers. The latest on COVID from the country. Monsoons set to arrive on time, and Ajit Singh's demise are some of the prominent stories covered by dailies today. The Tribune headlines, second wave expected to peak in maximum 15 days. The Business Standard writes, prepare for third wave, create oxygen buffer, says Supreme Court to government. The Pioneer informs oxygen just a click away for home isolated in Delhi. The Economic Times reports government expects COVID cases to dip in worst hit states soon. The Asian Age writes PM reviews COVID situation, record 4,000 deaths in a day, adding railways suspends trains like Rajdhani and Duronto due to poor occupancy. On the latest on the vaccination drive, the Tribune reports 1/3 of 45-plus citizens given first shot. Hindustan Times observes, what is the plan on vaccines for children? Supreme Court asks Centre. All dailies have covered Ajit Singh's demise. The Pioneer writes, era of Jat politics ends with Ajit Singh, while the Asian Age headlines, ex-Union Mantri and RLD chief Ajit Singh dies at 82. And finally, monsoon set to keep 1st of June onset date with Kerala, writes Hindustan Times.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Modi undertakes comprehensive review of COVID-19 situation, including roadmap for scaling up vaccine production in the country. Railways delivers over 2,500 metric tons of liquid medical oxygen to various states across the country. More than 16.48 crore vaccine doses administered in the country so far. Indian Army mobilizes 2 field hospitals from northeast to Patna to assist Bihar government. Haryana government launches Ayurvedic telemedicine facility for COVID patients. Chhattisgarh government suspends third phase of COVID vaccination after High Court order to modify plan for weaker sections of society. India welcomes US for relaxing norms of TRIPS agreement to ensure quick and affordable access to COVID vaccines and medicines. DMK leader M.K. Stalin to be sworn in as Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu this morning. NR Congress Chief N. Rangasamy also to be sworn in as Chief Minister of Puducherry. Centre releases second monthly installment of post-devolution revenue deficit grant of 9,871 crore rupees to 17 states. And External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar says Prime Minister Modi-Johnson summit redefined contours of India-UK relationship. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a great day.